Hey guys, welcome to another video. First of all, let me apologize for the layout of this video. I actually filmed this even before I ever thought I'll get on YouTube, but anyways, here we are. So let's get started with the video. This is actually a tutorial of colorful smoky eyes and a very glowy base. I already have a snippet of this on Instagram, but it's not in detail and it's not explained. So the first thing I did was I did my brows. I used the Anastasia Dip Brow in Ebony as usual. I just wanted to get the brows done out of the way because I wanted to focus this more on the eyes and on the face. So I use the Real Techniques angled brow brush for this. This is not a very thin brush, so you can't get very precise lines with this. This is more of depositing products in the areas where you need coverage. So I just started off in the arch of my brows and then I went until the tail, and then with whatever product is left, I just used it in the front of my brows. And then I'm using the Huda Beauty's Overachiever Concealer to carve out. Because I had a lot of stray hairs. You can use any full coverage concealer. I also dragged down the concealer to cover my lids because I had some pigmentation over there. You can also use an eye primer, or if you're using a concealer, make sure that it's kind of tacky and kind of thick. It shouldn't be runny like the Elegant concealer, because otherwise the eyeshadows which you apply on top wouldn't stick. So first I started off with a transition shade. I used a pink color shade, a light pink shade for the crease, and then I'm going in with a darker purple shade right under the crease, and I'm depositing that on the outer corner. So I'm actually going a little bit more heavy-handed than I did with the crease to really get the pigmentation, and then I'm kind of like just fading out the color towards the end. And then I'm taking a dark blue shade with the same brush. You can also use a flat brush for this. I didn't have one, so I just continued with the same brush. I'm putting that color right next to the purple. I also took the blue shade right under the crease, under the pink color shade for extra definition. And then I took a green matte shade and I'm depositing it right in the middle of the lid. It's better to have a couple of brushes when you're doing this. Don't use the same brushes, especially when you're using such pigmented dark colors. Try to have one brush per color, otherwise clean your brush every time you use another color. So I'm taking a lime green shade. This is a shimmer shade, and then this is very pigmented, guys. This palette is super pigmented. I just kind of barely touched it in the palette, and then I had to use that on both my eyes, and I really had to spread it all across. And then I took a lighter shade than that. This is a very light lime yellow, lime green. In these kind of looks, always remember to go back and make sure that each color is very defined and saturated. So I'm actually going back with the blue. I went back to all the shades and then I just made sure that they're all in the place where it's supposed to be. And if you don't do that, the look is not going to come out the way it should. And then I moved on to the face. I will come back to the eyes again. I use the Benefit Professional Primer, and I use this on the areas where I have a lot of pores. I'm kind of just massaging it into my pore areas. I'm not patting it. I would pat if I'm using a mattifying primer, but the pore primer, I'm actually massaging it into the skin. This is the Becca foundation. It's called the Ultimate Coverage Cream. The shade is Bamboo and it's really warm. I love this foundation because it's full coverage. It's mattifying enough for me. I have combination skin. It's not extremely mattifying, so if you have very oily skin, you would have to use a mattifying primer, but this is really full coverage and it works on a wide variety of skin tones. And the shade, this is the only foundation which is a perfect shade match for me. So I'm somewhere in between NC 42, 43. I'm not an NC44. Every time I use NC44, I look like an orange duck. So I'm somewhere between NC42 and 43, and this shade goes very well. Also, if you know your Fenty shades, I'm in Fenty 310. I could also get away with using 330, but that would start leaning more towards orange. So I really patted this foundation into the skin. I'm using a flat top kabuki brush by Morphe. I also brought this down to my neck, though it wasn't really required, but I just do it for the sake of protocol. This is also the same oh no, this is the Fenty concealer. I've been talking about the Fenty foundation that I thought I use a Fenty foundation. So there's a Fenty concealer in shade 310. It's actually light, so the foundation and the concealers in Fenty are a little bit confusing. So if you're a 310 in the foundation, in the concealer you will be a 330, not a 310, because a 310 is actually lighter. So it's like if you want to highlight your face, if you're a 310 in the foundation, you can use the same shade of concealer that is 310 in the concealer to highlight your face. But if you want to conceal, you should use a shade up that is 330. And this is a very small Morphe brush I just like to use for detailing work, like the center of my nose. And then this is LA Girl's Beautiful Bronze. I'm not drawing lines. I really love the technique of contouring or bronzing up my face, either of the two. Here, this has a little bit of warmth, so it gives both the effect of contouring and bronzing at the same time. You can already see the difference of one side where it's looking more sculpted than the other side. So I'm not drawing lines. I'm actually taking kind of a round brush. This is also a Morphe brush. I think it's M536. You can use any brush. The brush numbers don't matter. And then I'm just working that product into my skin. I'm not drawing lines. It just goes into the skin. It kind of settles. It becomes one with the skin. And then I'm contouring my nose with a Real Techniques soft shader brush. You can use any eyeshadow blending brush for this. If you want to draw lines, then you can use the Morphe E47 brush, but that would give a very harsh look. If that's what you're going for, it's good enough. I was going for a very soft and diffused look. You can see that even with this, my face is looking very defined. And then I use the Huda Beauty baking powder in the shade Blondie to set my under eyes. I'm just using a very small brush because I have deep set under eyes, and I'm kind of removing the creases before I set. So this is where I'm setting, and when I was using the smaller brush, I was actually removing the creases. If you don't remove your creases before you set, you're going to be setting your face with the creases. So always remember to remove your creases and then set your face with powder. I love this brush because it's really good for detailing. Again, for the bridge of my nose, I just used the little brush. I'm setting the contour area of my face right now with the LA Colors palette. You can use any dark brown shade. This shade which I'm using has a mix of cool tone and warm tone brown to it. I don't like to set my face with one color because otherwise the effect of the highlight and the contour would just vanish. Like if you would use a Laura Mercier powder all over, it's not going to be seen. So I like to set my highlighting and my contouring area separately. And then I actually used a hydrating spray all over the face. This is actually the MAC Fix Plus spray. It came in another bottle, and my face is really drenched. You can see that it's already kind of misty and hydrated, and it's glowing. So I'm drying it with you can just dry your face, okay? So when it's about 25% wet, I like to go in with the highlighter. Don't go in when your face is super drenched because it's just gonna cling on. So after it partially dries, when it's just a little bit damp, I went in with a highlighter so that it stays for a long time and the shine actually comes through all the layers. Some people actually like to do blush at this stage. Some people don't even like to spray anything. They just go in with the blush, highlighter, and then the setting spray. That's what I used to do. But if you want to get your skin really glowy, this is key. Right after you powder, do your highlighter and really apply heaps of it, because your highlighter is kind of going to vanish after some time. After you're done with the highlighter, after the spray, then go in with the blush. So I'm not showing which blush I'm using, but right now I'm actually putting in some blush on top of the highlighter so that the glow kind of just comes through and it's not stark on your face, but it's glowing, but it's not like blinding. Like I said, I'm going to be coming back to the eyes after this. So I am using all the same shades which I used on the lid, on the lash line. So this is the dark blue shade. I'm just bringing it out to the outer V so that the shape of the eye kind of tapers. And then I'm using a green color shade right in the center, right below where I have deposited the green matte shadow. And then I'm using the lime green, and then the yellow shade is already there, so I'm not going in again with that. Right on the outer edge, I use the purple color shade to smoke out the eye. You don't have to do this, it all depends on how smoky you want to go. And again, on the lower lash line, you gotta go in with the same colors which you went with the lid. And again, you can smoke out as much as you like. So if you're okay with a thin line over there, you can stop right there. I went and I took an orange shade and then I just smoked out the lower lash line even further so that the eyes look bigger. So my eyes are not very big. They're not very small either, but the more you smoke out, the more your eyes are gonna look big. So when you're smoking out, use a neutral shade so that all these colors kind of blend together. So when I started on the upper, so when I started with the crease was actually like a very light pink shade. So that brought all the colors together. So even on the lower lash line, you're using multiple colors. If you just leave it like that, it's gonna look a little stark. So use a shade like an orange or a brown or a light pink to kind of just bring everything together. The rest of the steps were self-explanatory. I just used a little bit of glitter on the center part of the lid. That was the Urban Decay glitter in Midnight Cowboy. And then I'm just using Inglot gel liner in number 77. I'm not drawing a wing. I just went on the lash line and then I'm very, very lightly smudging it out. Very, very lightly. You can't even notice it. That's just to give a little bit of depth in the outer corners. And I just smoke out the eyes even further. So these are very small, minute details which you won't be able to see when you just look at a picture. It's only when you watch a video like this and watch a step-by-step explanation that you'll be able to replicate all the steps. And then I went in with the Makeup Forever Aqua lip pencil in number 14C. I lined my lips with it. I wanted to go in with a very pink, kind of a bright pink look to complement the eyes. And then I used two Makeup Forever lip shades, one's in 204 and then the other one's in 105. The pink one is 204 and the lighter nude one is 105. I mixed it because even though I wanted pink, I didn't want it to be very, very bright. I wanted it to be muted like this. And after the whole thing is over, I'm again spritzing my face with a... You can use a setting spray like the Urban Decay spray, or I just use a MAC Fix Plus spray. This is in a different container, like I said earlier. It depends on what you want. If you want your makeup to really, really last forever, go ahead with a setting spray. Otherwise, you can just continue with a MAC Fix Plus. It's a hydrating, moisturizing spray. I'm further enhancing my face with blush because again, blush doesn't really stay on my face for a very long time. So I use a spray. My face is kind of semi-wet and then I went in with a blush and then with a highlighter again because blush and highlighter for me kind of just vanishes. I mean, even when I do makeup on clients, blush and highlighter is the first thing to vanish. So I always spray and then I use these two products and then I do that again so that it really reinforces all the colors. Okay, this is the end of the tutorial. I hope you guys learned something from this and I promise the next tutorials are not going to be in this layout. They are going to be in the usual YouTube 16:9 format. So until then, you guys take care, stay safe and bye-bye.